Hello everyone, welcome back to another car review. Today we finally have the famous 2013 Chevy Sonic LTZ.
3, 2, 1, hardwired.
So this is actually my sister Gracie's car, and she will be featured on the video soon, except she's filming right now because we need somebody to film. So you will see her later. But this is her car, and this is the Ltz trim of the Chevy Sonic. So the Sonic is sort of your super compact hatch, slightly larger than the Spark and Aveo models from Chevy, but still a really small car and sort of a weird kind of funky economy car. So with the LTZ, which is the top model trim, you get, of course, the fog lights up here in front and some of the other options you wouldn't really expect to see on a car like the Chevy Sonic. But this is the 2013 model, as I said, so this is before the new facelift of the newer Chevy making now. And so you get some of the kind of distinctive things like these headlights, which are very unique to the Chevy Sonic. You can see normally you'd have your glass over the bulbs, but this in fact has different housing for each of your bulbs in the headlights. Sort of a really unique design. So you can see up front as well, of course, we have the fold down front license plate mechanism. That is the exact same type of license plate holder that we have on the Fiero, which you should definitely go check out that video. But basically this car did have, of course, the classic New Jersey drilled into the bumper license plate, but we ended up getting a new bumper for it, and we just didn't want to drill holes in it, obviously, so instead we got this fold-down one. So if, of course, this car is ever at a car show, which it is all the time, you can fold your license plate away. Or it's just cool, and I wish I had it on my Dart. A little bit jealous. So down the side of the Sonic, you can see that this is a very short car. It's a short wheelbase, and all of the car is right between the wheels, so you have these very little overhangs, keeps everything compact, and this is a small car. Though not that low, you have plenty of upward space. It's just very small lengthwise, but you get some neat styling features on this car. For one, we have the large 17-inch wheels from the LTZ trim, which look pretty cool, and we also have the pinstriping with this neat little Chevy logo that comes along the side here. We also have this, I'm sure you've noticed, this crazy contraption stuck to the top of this car. We will have Gracie come in and talk to you about that, so stay tuned for that.
Hello everyone to my roof rack edition. This is part of my Sonic. I got it from my lovely parents for my 20th birthday, and of course I had to put something on it, so I bought myself a bike rack, which it does work. I drove it all the way down on the highway to the beach and biked my bike there. It can fit 2 bikes, and I went like 75 miles an hour, so it was good. It was sturdy, it was on there really good, so I can fit a lot of things on here. I also aspire to put this year's Christmas tree on it, if I can do that, so stay tuned for the winter. And yeah, I have a Chevy emblem on my roof racks. My dad helped me install these. I also have videos for that as well. And you cannot take these off without the key right here. There's a little hole there, and there's a little engraving that you can put the key in and twist it if you want to take these off. So they are removable. And what's really interesting is it looks like the car even was prepared for roof racks. You can see there's this little groove where the roof rack can stick on. We actually tried putting it here and it would just slide right up. So this little groove right here is for the roof rack specifically, which is really cool. To put this up, this is the stand for the bikes. There's straps for the front tires, straps for the back tires, and they also give you straps for the brakes so they won't roll off or anything, but I didn't use them and it still stayed on pretty good. So yeah, just put this right back down and you're set to drive.
Hardwired.
So along the back of the car, you can see, of course, this is the hatchback model as opposed to the sedan model you could actually buy, because Americans are weird and like sedans for some reason. But this is the more convenient hatchback, which I think looks a lot better on the Chevy Sonic. You even get a little lip above here that goes over your hatch, which is pretty neat. And you get these, again, very distinctive rear taillights that sort of match the front circles. Kind of a neat touch, and just, it's a different looking car. Of course, you can see it says Sonic LTZ very proudly with the very cool red turbo badge. You don't get that on every car, and that is really neat to see. Back here, if we open up this trunk, you can see you get a decent amount of room. Now, nothing crazy, of course, because this is a very small car, and you do get pretty good rear seat room, which means sacrificing trunk room. Now, you can fit some, normal stuff in here, and you can even take this out for a bit more storage space, but again, nothing crazy. Underneath the floor, you have additional storage space. Now, I believe we did have a spare tire back here, but Gracie has a story to tell about that later. But now it's just used as additional storage, which is pretty cool. You even get lights back here. You get some cargo hooks you can attach things to. A relatively decent sized trunk. All right, so looking under the hood of this Chevy Sonic, you can see the Chevy Ecotec engine. This is a 1.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder, so it's pretty small, but hey, it's a small car, and this is economy driven after all. It gets around 33 miles per gallon, just normal driving. That's not even, highway cruising. So good fuel economy, makes about 130 horsepower, which is plenty, for a car like this. And of course, the added fun of stick shift makes the engine pretty great. First try. So jumping inside the back seat of this Sonic, first off, you're wondering where the door handle is. Now, we've had quite a few people riding this car the first time. They don't know how to get into the back seat. It's actually integrated into this plastic piece here. You have your door handle, and you can just pull it open like that. So, jumping into the back seat of the Sonic, as you can see, for such a small car, you get a good amount of back seat room. This is where, a reasonable driving position is, and I have plenty of knee room. It's not pressed up against the seat, but mainly I have tons of headroom. With the sort of high roof you get in this car, there's plenty of upward space, which helps you not feel crammed in here. Lengthwise, you can seat 3 people across back here. It's tight, but you can do it, not for long distances anyway. Now, you do get these really nice leather seats, part of the LTZ package, and you get a single cup holder up here. Although these seats do fold down in case you want more trunk room, which is really convenient. And that's really it. You don't get any door storage. There's not a lot back here. Moving up front now, in the Sonic, you can see, of course, first off, this is another manual car, which is pretty cool that you could get the top model LTZ with a manual, which you couldn't do with the Chevy Cruze. You should go check out that video as well. But up front, you can see the majority of options we get with this car being the LTZ. You get your leather seats, as I've said before, but these are also heated leather seats, which is a nice touch. You also get, of course, your sunroof up here, in which you can look at your roof racks and make sure that they're still on while you're driving. You also get this nice touch screen in the center here, and of course, some actual dials for your climate control, which is fantastic. Dials are the only way to do climate control. So let's take it for a drive. Driving the Chevy Sonic. So first off, the first thing you notice driving this car is, of course, the manual. How is the transmission? How is it to drive? So this car is actually really easy to drive. The shifter is really, it's really easy to find the gears. The clutch is very forgiving, which is why we use it for all of our teaching to drive stick shift videos. It's a really good beginner's car and a really good car to learn stick shift on.
This is the car I learned stick on.
Exactly.
Yes. This was my first car, and I'm still using it. And yes, I had to learn stick on this car. And of course, what better place to learn how to drive stick is in a mall parking lot. And this mall parking lot we went to had lots of potholes. So while I'm trying to concentrate on how to put a gear anywhere, or like go on the clutch, or like figure out this puzzle, I run into a pothole. And this is the story of why there's not a spare tire in the trunk. It's because I used it on the second day of driving my car. And luckily, we had the local mechanic with us, so he was able to put the spare tire on so I could drive it home
Yeah, but since then, be sure to go check out all our teaching people to drive stick shift videos, because they've all learned pretty much on this car, and we've yet to do an official review on it. So here we are. But other than the transmission, another thing you really notice in here is this gauge cluster. We have this really unique setup where we have our, your traditional tachometer and this big gauge, which is pretty cool. And then off to the side, where normally you have some other, another gauge, you actually just have a screen. You get this sort of digital little screen that gives you your speed, gives you your fuel economy, your miles, some other information you generally get, which is pretty cool for 2013 to get a full, pretty much half digital dash. It's a neat touch. You even get a really cool fuel gauge that sort of completes the circle of the tachometer, and it's just a really neat look and a really unique look, which kind of is a theme among the Sonic. You just don't kind of see stuff. It's sort of a weird, quirky thing that's just different. Space inside this car, which is obviously a concern, being such a small, compact car, and it's actually really good. Sitting in the driver's seat, I have plenty of room. Like I said, in the back, you get tons of headroom in this car. Shoulder room, it's not the best. I'm elbowing Gracie, and you don't actually have a center console here at all. You get your cup holders, and that's about it. There's no center console, so you do sit pretty close together. It's a very thin car, but it still feels pretty spacious. You get really large windows, and the dash line and window line is really low down. So you feel like you're sitting up high, even though you're just in a hatchback, which gives you pretty good visibility of everything around you.
You also get this little pull-down armrest.
Oh yes.
If you're feeling extra luxurious as you try to shift and
yeah, it doesn't really work with shifting. So that's probably for the automatic Sonic, I would think.
That is permanently folded up. So in this nice compact car, you are given many pockets, which I have been filling up with over the years of owning this car.
Lots of stuff.
Yes, I have many things in here. I have 3 cup holders here. One is for the back, 2 are for the front, which is great. I love cup holders. And we also have 2 slots in the doors that have pockets as well. I have like my umbrella and like Band-Aids and more air fresheners and all that thing. And then I got my gloves and my ice scraper thing for the windshield for the winter. I got my sunglasses, flashlight, you got that hand sanitizer for COVID, and I got my little thing for if I want to put my phone up so I can know where I'm going with the GPS. I also have this front one up here that I used to put lots and lots of coins in, but a few times I've had to slam on my brakes a little fast, and they've shot up into the windshield and are now part of the windshield.
They're wedged up front.
Yes. You can't even see them. They're really in there. So yeah.
You also have 2 glove boxes, which is
do.
Interesting.
I have this one up here, which is also full of stuff, and I have my standard one down here, which is also full of stuff.
Yeah, so pretty neat. Even though you don't get a center console, you get 2 glove boxes, which is an interesting thing. Driving experience, sort of aside from the manual transmission, what do you get? How does it feel to drive, basically? So this is a very small engine. Like I said before, it's a 1.4 liter turbocharged engine, which means you don't get a lot of download torque, basically. But without the turbo spooling, there's not a lot of power. So if I'm at low RPM, doing 40 miles an hour, in 5th gear, if I floor it, nothing really happens, but that's with most cars like this. You just don't get, it's not a sports car really. So that's how it is, but you can then downshift because it's a manual, which is fun, and then you can get some more power out of it. But sort of a weird thing with it being a manual and a small displacement turbocharged engine is you get sort of a non-linear throttle. So as you're in a lower gear, depending on your RPM, you get more power, with your foot in the same place. So it sort of revs up quicker depending on the boost, and it makes it a little tricky when you're first driving it, because in first gear you want to give it a little bit of power and then you lift up the clutch, and then I don't know if it's just because I drive a naturally aspirated car. I'm sure you'd get used to it real quick. Do you even notice it, Gracie?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it is something you have to sort of compensate for, as you give it less throttle as the engine revs up. With this car, of course, we get analog climate control systems, which I love. The dials are the way to go. We have our heated seat settings, which you only get 1 button for. It's on or off. There are no variable heated seat settings, and pretty soon they start to burn you, at least in my opinion. Even though these dials are great, this car does the thing that makes me mad, and it does not give you a volume dial. You have buttons on your screen to go up and down, and it makes, not only that, it makes a beeping noise, which drives me crazy. You do get steering wheel buttons, which is nice. You have your volume, which is also not a dial. But you get some buttons on the steering wheel for that, but just drives me crazy. I need a volume knob. I really do. How do you feel about driving it?
Oh, I love driving my car. I have an hour commute to my college, and I usually go there around like 3 days a week right now, and I really enjoy driving this car.
You never get tired of driving stick?
No.
I don't either.
I know for like the older cars with the heavier clutches, that I would get tired with. But this one, it's pretty springy, it's pretty light, and it's good to have as a daily driver. I really enjoy it, and I feel really cool with my roof rack. There's not many Chevy Sonics driving around that are stick shift and also have roof racks on them, so I feel really special.
And also have a turbo badge on the back.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this car has no turbo gauge, which is a missed opportunity, but perhaps you can install one later. Is your sunroof one touch open?
Yes. Yeah, this is just like a really useful car. It's small for parking, but you can also fit a lot of things in there, like you can pull down the seats. I fit a tree in here, even though it kind of stuck out the
Gracie
sunroof.
fit a tree in here that's stuck out of the sunroof
I
before.
do have pictures, yes. I did put a tree in here, and it is still alive.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, it's still alive. Yeah, that was really cool. I've taken many beach trips in this car, and now I have my roof rack, so I can fit even more things on here, like my bikes. You know, it has a pretty good stereo system. If you do play it loud, things will start to vibrate. But, you know, that's normal.
I do really like these climate vents. They look like rocket ships.
I just remember my confidence boosted up in one of the videos. Carla said they look like Camaro air vents, and I was like, oh yeah, I got some Camaro stuff here. I do have one window that is one touch, and that is the driver's window, but every other of the other windows is not.
You can actually hear the turbo with the windows down, which is a pretty cool thing. 130 horsepower, which is, it's only 10 less than the Fiero makes. And this is also a pretty light car. I don't know exactly how much it weighs, but it's a small car. And if you rev it out, the turbo will spool up and you get some power. All right, so let's see how the Sonic handles. There it goes. Right about 4,000 RPM, it starts to kick in. So something in this car, you get a lot of body roll when you go around corners. It's a tall car, it's a narrow car, and it kind of sways all over the place. But you know, you can push it a little bit and have fun. But it is great to have a manual. Like I've said in my Dart and in a lot of my reviews, having a manual in a compact sort of economy car like this changes it completely. This would be an incredibly boring car, sorry Gracie, if you didn't have a manual in this. The manual, it makes the car fun. It really does, because you get to choose what gear you're in. And yeah, okay, so the engine doesn't make that much power right now, but that's the point. You have a manual, you can downshift and you know, you can control the car, and it changes it. It really helps the car be a lot more fun. So that wraps up our review on the Chevy Sonic LTZ. Kind of a neat, just different car. A lot of sort of interesting things Chevy did with it. A great car for Gracie, a great convenient, just sort of commuter car. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Disconnect.
Is she opening the trunk?
Oh, it's hot. Okay.
Well, it was just running. Blooper reel.
There's a light. There's like a latch or something. Ah.
Yay!
Oh, it's hot. Where's this go?
Great. Headline is great. You know, you got plenty of roof size.